Good afternoon, everybody. It's the weekend. I'm doing some game development here. See how the bandwidth holds up today. I'm hoping that Spectrum's going to do good for me today compared to what it was doing in the week, which was bloody awful. So we will see how this goes. I am going to be working on my Project Hack game here, projecthack.net. We are going to be having some fun with this. And something that I think is going to be interesting is I got to start turning my attention to game balance. I shared the first release of this to select people. Oh, Adam Wolf, well done, buddy. You were so fast. But, yep, he beat you to it. Dang, you folks are on it. I feel like you're stalking me. How do you know? How are you so fast? But I'm going to be doing some game balance here. In fact, some folks in the chat room provided me some feedback for the version of the game that I provided them. Thank you so much for that. It's always tough because you know it's going to be exactly what you want, which is hard, tough, honest feedback, which, as hard as it is to take, I would say for games in particular is massively important because, you know, you live whatever you're creating, be it an app, a game, whatever, you live it in your head, right? So you know the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts, and how things work, which puts you in a mindset. And what you need at some point is folks who don't have that mindset to look at it, try it, and figure out what's wrong, what's right, and so on. So as hard as it is to take, you got to look at it and go, this is exactly the feedback I need, right? So I've got a whole bunch of that stuff. Just be on your phone 24/7. Adam Wolf, I don't have to phone him, apparently. He just knows. Yeah, Adam. See, here's the thing, though. Adam, every time I've given you a heads up, he still beat you to it. Sorry, buddy. So let's dive into the game here. I'll show you the current state of the game, right? So gonna log in here with my super secret login. Okay, so since you last saw this, I don't recall, I mentioned in my UI Buzz podcast, check it out, folks. You can find a link on my website, peterwhittam.com, or just search UI Buzz in podcast player of choice. But I've retooled this, yes, pun intended, to a toolbar as opposed to having the buttons up here because it's going to allow me to add a whole bunch more in the future. So now you can click on upgrades, you can go in here, purchase the upgrade, and so on, right? The other one here that I'm very happy to get in, but this is like, you know, 0.1 version of this is the leaderboard, right? And you can see that Coco Type in the chat room here is very much beating me at my own game, which is exactly what he did with Endless Hurdles. So I'm feeling a little bit of pressure here, yeah. So that's what we got, right? This is where we're at. But this is where I'm now at the point that this is solid in that it's functional. But the problem now becomes what I think is one of the hardest things with game development, especially this kind of game, which is game balance. The orange iPhone 17 Pro is my secret to getting firsts. Did Apple maybe pay you to say that? You got to log in as CompileSwift password. I love Camille. What 20? You know, folks, I knew as soon as I shared this game with the select group, especially the folks in the chat room, one of them would snap up the CompileSwift name, and I'm so proud that they did. That leaderboard is wrong. CompileSwift score is way higher than that. So let's talk about this for a second, because one of the questions that came up is, how does this work? So I'm going to explain it to you. I didn't really want to give too many details, and I'll explain why. Because if I tell you exactly how this works, you can figure out how to take advantage of it in a very honest way of playing the game. But if I tell you the formulas for things, you're going to figure it out. But I will share this, right? It is not solely based on your hacking power, which you would be forgiven for thinking might be the thing. And originally that is what I had intended, right? Your hacking power here. But as you know, when you upgrade your resources, your hacking power is going to temporarily drop before it goes up again, and you will drop down in the charts. So I wanted to give a way that folks can do this by playing multiple, whatever strategy you want to play. If you want to level up, hack bosses, and that kind of thing, great. That's going to work for you. If you don't want to hack bosses, great. This is going to work for you as well. And the reason being is this number here is calculated on more than one thing, right? It takes into account several factors. Hacking power is one of them, obviously. Another one is the amount of bosses that you have taken down. But again, you don't have to take down bosses to top the charts, right? Which is what makes this a little more complicated as far as balance. But I wanted to clear that up because I didn't want people thinking, well, I got more hacking power than anyone else. Why am I not top of the chart? Because I want it to be fair, and I want it to be a way that you can play with a style and do what you want to get on the leaderboard. And also hoping that it doesn't allow one person to, sit at the top of the leaderboard, right? Leaderboard shows way higher on my machine. Did it? So I should mention, let me mention this, okay? When you go into the leaderboard, it will send your current score to the leaderboard, right? And update there. At least it should. And I want to stress, this leaderboard is the newest feature, and it's the first go around on the coding for this. It may not work flawlessly, okay? So that might be a reason. You're sending me a Discord screenshot. Number of visits. Oh, now it's right. Earlier it said 0. I did see it say 0 the other day. I did. Yes. And, it does somewhat link with the game save, but when you pull this panel up, it should refresh itself. I got a refresh button there as well, right? Okay. I say should because, hey, there could be bugs, right? But that's how the leaderboard works. Now, that is critical, obviously, to gameplay balance, working that out. This is the first step to multiplayer gameplay, right? You may recall my desire, and I know I've said this, but it's worth repeating because it is the driver for all of this. When I first had the idea years ago for this game, the key factor that immediately came up with talking with a friend of mine was, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we could hack each other, right? This is a step towards that. This tells me that using the Unity game services, I have access to at least some other player data in the sense of it's coming through a leaderboard, but it tells me that there's hope, right? Now that I got this working, I can start to think about the multiplayer aspect of it as well and how that works. But there are other things I need to wrap up. And again, shout out to the folks that tested me for this week. They brought up a lot of things that I feel need to be addressed before I figure out how to let you all start attacking each other, right? So that's key here. I do want to point that out. So we've got to do a lot of game balancing here. And this has been hard. This has been bugging me for a long time. Now, a couple of things I want to address straight away. Yes, when you raise the resource level, right, your hacking power drops significantly. It shouldn't. I don't want it to. I know why it does, because the numbers are wrong. And one of you calculated those numbers, which essentially proves it, okay? However, I do want a slight, and I mean slight, drop in hacking power as you upgrade, right? Because the theory goes like this. As you upgrade to higher level resources, each one of these obviously has a better multiplier for hacking power than the one before it. But because the game numbers are unbalanced at the moment, it's causing this radical shift that you have to bounce back from. Okay. And that's one of the things I need to address. And I know it's been there for a long time, but it has worked to my advantage to this point to enable me to test that all this stuff does what it should. So hopefully you all understand now why some of that's happening. Thanks to the folks that tested me this week, but you say I'm testing you every. Yeah, okay, yeah, well, that's true. Thanks for testing me every week and keeping me honest and frustrating me no end in the best possible way. Oh shit! Sorry, folks. Oh my god, the 3 minutes over. That was a bloody long 3 minutes. I walked right into that, didn't I? Yeah. It's funny. You can change the title. Um, oh wait, hang on. Let me try this. If I stop it, can I change